there. Welcome to a higher dimension. I'm Gloria Danvers from Gloria Danvers Hypnosis in Orlando, Florida, and I'm your host for a higher dimension. As a hypnotherapist, I work with everyday people who are having extraordinary experiences in the fascinating world of past life regression, therapeutic hypnosis, psychic abilities, spiritual awakenings, and paranormal encounters. Every Tuesday morning at 6 a.m., join me and my guests as we explore their powerful stories and extraordinary journeys together. And sometimes it's just you and me. Solo episodes where I dive deep into metaphysical insights, spiritual concepts, and mind-expanding ideas that I think you'll find both useful and fascinating. Not only will you hear incredible stories, but we'll talk about what comes next. What happens after these life-shifting moments? How do they change you? Who are you now? What truths have you uncovered? We'll explore big questions through deep, eye-opening conversations that you don't want to miss. If you're interested in working with me and having your own transformational hypnosis experience, you can reach me at gloriadanvershypnosis.com. If you're here, chances are you're ready for something different, ready to explore yourself in the higher realms. So shoot me an email or book a free consultation. Maybe it's time for you to shake up what you think you know about the world, about yourself, who you've been, who your friends really are, and where you're headed. You can catch a higher dimension on Apple Podcasts, Podbean, Podchaser, Spotify, YouTube, and iHeart.com. But right now, let's sit back, relax, and uncover the hidden depths of the human experience right here on a higher dimension. When I first began creating a higher dimension, my focus was on past life experience, psychic experience, and the paranormal. But lately I've been guided, as I'm sure you've noticed, to begin offering different views on spirituality, the human experience, duality, and how they are not separate, but part of the intricate dance that we are doing with the universe and with ourselves as multidimensional beings. I will still offer firsthand accounts of the amazing journeys that I get to experience with my clients and friends, but now through a wider lens, one that embraces not just where we've been, but who we are becoming. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to a higher dimension. I'm Gloria from Gloria Danvers Hypnosis in Orlando, Florida, and I'm your host for a higher dimension. This is where the mystical meets the grounded, the spiritual meets the everyday, healing becomes a soul-level journey, and rabbit holes abound. And today, we're going beyond past lives into the timeless realm of the higher self. Let's begin where most journeys end, at the conclusion of the regression. When someone experiences a past life regression, it's more than just storytelling or imagination. It's a soul memory surfacing, a remembering, a lived, emotionally imprinted experience. It's often filled with surprises, unexpected places, unknown languages, unfamiliar loves. Sometimes the stories are beautiful. Other times they're tragic. And sometimes they are stories of peace and contentment, because it is important for people to know that they experience those lifetimes too. And the soul does leave breadcrumbs, patterns, emotional signatures, old promises, hidden pain, forgotten strengths, religious views. And past life regression allows us to recover those and to begin untangling the karmic web. But here's the thing. That journey alone is only part of the process. After the emotion, after the visions, after the final scene of a past life plays out, This is when something else that is truly sacred begins. If you're working with me, we enter into a second realm in which we do the higher self work. I'm sure that most of you listening know what the higher self is. But for those of you who don't, this information will change the way that you perceive yourself in your decisions in the life that you're currently living. So, what exactly is the higher self? You might think of it as your soul's North Star, that timeless, multidimensional, divine version of you that exists beyond the confines of time, identity, or fear. The undiluted essence of your soul. The higher self isn't a guide. It's not a deity. It's not even a voice that you have to earn access to. It's you, without the distortion, without the noise. The clearest, most loving, all-knowing aspect of your being. At the end of our regression work, I often describe the higher self as the part of you that has the full map, while we're just navigating a small section of the road. The higher self sees how your lives are interconnected. It knows why you chose certain families, certain heartbreaks, even certain obstacles. When we invite the higher self in after a regression, we're not just wrapping up the journey. We're integrating it. We're elevating it. We're allowing the deeper truth to rise up and become available in the now. Why do we do this higher self work at the end? Because regression opens a portal. It softens the ego. It lowers the walls. Once you've traveled through the past, through trauma, death, love, confusion, karma, whatever you've experienced, you're in a beautifully open space. You're raw, you're receptive, and you're humble. That's when the higher self steps in with this loving neutrality and says, here's what this really meant. It helps you understand the bigger picture. Reclaim lost or denied parts of yourself. Release old contracts and vows. Forgive yourself and others. See how your soul is not stuck. It's evolving. It's like holding a mirror up to your life and finally seeing it through the eyes of truth and compassion. People cry and they laugh, or they're just there in trance, silent, stunned. Not because they're overwhelmed, but because they feel seen in a way that they never have before. And they feel seen in the only way that really matters, which is to be seen by their own higher selves. What does this actually look like? Often I'll guide the client into a meditative state after the regression, deeper still, and ask to speak to their higher self. And then something shifts. The tone of their voice changes. The energy becomes serene and vast and still. The higher self might speak directly. It may offer images. It may bring that feeling of warmth, peace, and knowing. Some higher selves offer clear answers. Yes, that karmic tie was healed. You don't need it anymore. Or, this person is part of your soul family. That's why the bond feels unbreakable. Or, your anxiety today stems from a moment of abandonment in another life. But you can release that energy now. And sometimes they offer nothing but a loving presence. And that is enough. And the one thing that is true, across the board in every single higher self communication that I do with you, my client, is that you will understand how the higher self sees you. It has no doubts. It doesn't change. It gives nothing but praise and consolation. It also gives straightforward answers when needed. I have had clients that were very negative about themselves. And yet when we were doing the higher self work, there was no negative self-talk at all. Only warmth and love and care. And that's how you know it is the higher self. Because the higher self is bigger than the negative things that you say to yourself, or whatever you believe about yourself and your current lifetime. The higher self knows everything because it is the part of you that set everything in motion. Why is this work so powerful? Because it reclaims your spiritual sovereignty. It reminds you that no matter what happened in this life or any other life, that you are whole, that you are loved, that you are perfect, and that you are never alone. It transforms healing from a fix-it job into a reunion with your true self. I've watched people walk away from sessions feeling lighter, more at peace, because they are empowered through this work, which is extremely important when you are living in a world in which you feel tossed about and powerless. Your higher self knows that you deliberately create your circumstances so that you can advance spiritually. When I initially set up a regression session, I inform my clients that there is higher self work involved at the end of the regression. So I ask them for a list of questions that they would like to ask their higher selves. These questions have run the gamut from wondering what their purpose was to questions about incarnating with other people and everything else that you could think of. Some people come with incredibly detailed questions. Some are just very simple and direct. The higher self communication is not mysterious, nor is it obscure. The higher self provides very simple answers. And some people think that might almost be too simple. Your higher self does not pontificate, and it does not hide itself in some hidden esoteric message that you must earn. It brings you the truth. And truth, when it is stripped away of all pretense, is simple. Another way that the higher self takes care of you in our sessions is if you are asking a question that would interfere with your chosen path and the growth that you came here to experience. When that happens, the higher self will simply say that it is not for you to know at this time, or I can't tell him that. Because the higher self wants to protect this journey for you. And this work is not to use the higher self as a cheat sheet to get clear on the journeys before we actually take them. The higher self is here as a gentle nudge, as a loving voice, and as an intuitive guide for the way forward. It does not exist to save you from your own decisions, because you came here to experience those decisions. Those decisions that you think were wrong were actually taking you somewhere that you needed to be in order to fulfill your highest purpose. The higher self knows that because it set itself in motion in that way. Remember, this is you. It's not a guide. It's not an angel. It's not any type of outside interference or entity. This is you in your highest and purest form, full of compassion, wisdom, and appreciation for that part of you that it's sent here to experience life in a way that will expand its own higher consciousness. After the higher self work, my clients are more in tune with their purpose. They remember that they chose this life, that they have tools, that the pain was real, but that it also had meaning, and that it was not forever. This isn't just a metaphysical theory. This is soul-level medicine. So let's end today by offering you just a little taste, just an invitation to meet your higher self. I'd like you to get into a safe, quiet space. And I have to stop and say now that if you are driving or operating heavy machinery, please come back to this part of the podcast when you have the time and space to do so. Once you are in your safe, quiet space, go ahead and take a deep breath in and slowly exhale. Close your eyes. Bring your awareness to the center of your chest. This is your heart space. Now I'd like for you to imagine a golden light there, soft, warm, pulsing with life. That light is your connection to your higher self. Now allow that light to expand gently upward through your throat, through your third eye, and up to the crown of your head. Now imagine that golden light is opening like a doorway, and stepping through it is you, just more luminous, more calm, more eternal. This is your higher self. And there's no effort needed. There's just presence. And now you can ask it one simple question. What do I most need to remember right now? And allow any image, any word or feeling to come. Trust whatever you feel. Now you can stay here as long as you like. And when you're ready, take another deep breath in, exhale, and slowly return to the room. This is the part of healing that moves beyond the story. This is where we stop chasing answers and start remembering who we are. If you've never done a past life regression or any type of higher self work, I hope this episode is helping you remember that healing doesn't stop at the memory. It continues in the integration, in the elevation, in the return to your higher self. Because that version of you, it's always available, always loving, always guiding you home. It's the light in the window. It's the living presence waiting at the door to welcome you back. It is you in your truest form. So thank you so much for tuning in today. If this episode touched you, I invite you to share it with someone who's on their own spiritual path. And as always, you can contact me at gloriadanvershypnosis.com. I would love to answer any questions that you might have about today's podcast. So until then, trust your soul, because it always knows. And that's a wrap. Thanks so much for joining me today. I hope that I've managed to pique your interest, raise your curiosity, give you something to think about, teach you something that you didn't know before, or send you down a major rabbit hole. If you're curious about what I do, if you would like to schedule a session with me, shoot me an email. Go onto my website, gloriadanvershypnosis.com, and book a free consultation. Let's discover something about you that you didn't know. Let's open some doors for you that you didn't know were there. I'll be back next week. And until then, stay curious. Stay open to all the things that come in for you through a higher dimension.